episode of Future Construct is supported by Applied Software. We would like to thank them so much for supporting us. Applied Software is really on a mission to transform industries. They empower their clients and champion innovation with real-world expert consultants. So to reach them, you go to asti.com, that's ASTI.com, and please tell them that we at Future Construct and BIM Designs sent you. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Future Construct podcast. I'm Amy Peck, your host, and today we have Mark Oden, the CEO of BIM Designs with us. Hi, Mark. Welcome.
Hi, Amy. Thank you for having me.
So we have talked a number of times about some of the great things you do at your company, but I'd love to start a little bit with your background and actually how you came to BIM Designs, because it's a great story.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, by education, I went to the University of Florida and I have a master's in electrical engineering. I quickly moved into a full career at Cisco Systems. Spent 10 years there, starting as a network engineer, moved into product management for WebEx and WebEx Mobile. Then I moved into strategy and planning and worked on an acquisition through Cisco, and ultimately ended my career at Cisco with business development. Very happy and honored to have the privilege of working with Cisco, and I feel like I earned 3 MBAs during that time. It was very intense and a lot of fun. From there, I took some time off and I took a sabbatical in South America, and I actually learned Spanish, gave up all my responsibilities, visited a few countries down there, and really explored who I was, and found that deep in my core, I'm actually a businessman. When I learned Spanish, I found myself talking to cab drivers about the local economy. So one day I got out of the car and I said, I think I'm a businessman. Having recently bought a property in San Francisco, I started renovating that during the architect took it over in the time that I was down in South America. And when I came back, there was a lot to deal with the city in terms of permitting and approvals and modifications to the architect's drawings. And so I eventually became the de facto general contractor for that property, ultimately learning how to work with the trades, electrical, plumbing, sheet metal, and finding that I had so much to learn in that space, and potentially something to offer to the construction space. Ultimately ended up acquiring BIM Designs and growing it in 3 years from 3 employees to 62. So it's been an amazing ride that I've learned so much from.
And I love that story, because I think that some of the best companies evolve out of that, that personal challenge where you have the challenge yourself and you see a need, and then you see an opportunity to actually kind of elevate the way things are done. And I think you've done a great job with that at BIM Designs. Yeah, so, and I've been fortunate enough to interface with a number of people at your company, including Luke and Jamil, who are amazing. But you have this real sort of family atmosphere that, as you've built this company, and, now you're a substantial company. Can you talk a little bit about, how you did that, and where your teams kind of come from? Because I know that you're sort of a fully remote company and you always have been.
Thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate you asking. Yeah, absolutely. We've grown the company, as I mentioned, from 3 to 62. And in that time, we've really focused on relationships and culture within the company, and also with our clients. In that time, we are a union-based detailing firm. So at the core, we are a detailing service provider that provides mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, pipe fitting, and fire protection detailing. And we hire union-trained journeymen. These trained journeymen go through 5 years of training before they can call themselves journeymen, and they learn every aspect of construction for their specific trade. So they become experts in the field. And then they learn detailing. They learn how to use the software like AutoCAD and Revit. And then we go above and beyond in our company and continue that training. We have subject matter experts that work across the entire company. We have quality experts, we have Revit experts and AutoCAD experts, database experts that really help make sure that each project goes as smooth as possible. Each of our project managers are technical project managers. But most importantly to us, again, is the relationships and the culture. We have a culture committee within the company. We've had an end of year party last year that was completely virtual, but a huge turnout, a great event. We had a gift exchange, we had live music, we did charades. So we really focus on how do we honor and respect each of our individual employees, and how do we focus on continuous education. So collectively, I'm very proud of the organization. I'm very proud of each individual that works with us, and and I'm so grateful for their dedication to the team and to our vision.
I love that. And, as someone, so we've built and remodeled, 3 different houses. And as someone who has seen the difference between, union contractors and some of the non-union contractors, and it's not that they're not good. It's just that, we've also seen a lot of companies from overseas kind of come in, and we've accidentally hired a couple of those, and they seem like they're local, but they're really not. And, that can really cause a whole host of issues. So, I think it's really important that you are so focused on the education of all your contractors.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Amy. The union really goes a long way in bringing dedicated, trained professionals that truly love what they do. And they have dedicated joint apprentice traineeship centers. Students go to class and they hands-on experience. So there's a tremendous value that the union brings, and collectively, I really respect so much of the union, the backbone that brings the union together. They also represent the workers and bring a quality of life to the workers that they may not otherwise have without a voice of their own. So in combination with the quality of life and the training, we really have a high quality focus and a high skill set focus and a happy group of employees. And it really allows us to produce just a level of quality that we really pride ourselves in.
Yeah, and that is a challenge to do, when you have remote teams, to really kind of build that company culture. And so in, kind of looking at a lot of the work that you do, and you have some amazing clients, and I definitely want to get there. But there's sort of a breadth of services that you cover, and you've been really, you've scaled your services side in a way that I think also aligns with where technology is going, but you still make it accessible today. And that's a very, very hard line to walk. So if you can talk a little bit about that, and then, what people can expect today, but then how you're kind of future-proofing your services.
Thank you so much for the question, Amy. Yeah, absolutely. Where we are today is we actively use well-known products like AutoCAD, Revit, Revisto, BIMTrack, and MEP Evolve, and we're constantly looking at how do we bring automation into the equation. So how do we elevate our detailers to the next level of design build and client feedback and client relations, and how do we work with our clients to build that next generation design and that next generation product. In the future, we really see artificial intelligence and machine learning coming in to help with scheduling, for example. Scheduling today is a very manual task done by the project manager at either the subcontractor level or the general contractor level. Potentially the artificial intelligence can start to see, hey, what is the progress that's done with pre-construction, and what's the progress or the delays that is with construction? How do we merge the two in a way that doesn't overall impact the actual cost or development of the construction? For example, today, if the pre-construction process is maybe taking too long for whatever reason, because many things come up during the pre-construction phase, the concrete pour date is often a flag in the ground that says we're not going to move this, we're going to pour concrete. And so what could happen is the pre-construction process can either be squeezed, which ends up costing a lot more and could lead to mistakes, or pre-construction process bleeds into post-construction, which will lead to a reduction of the value of the pre-construction process, because what you're trying to do is bring a lot of the potential change orders, a lot of the requests for information, a lot of the challenges, the conflicts, the clashes, anything that could happen on the job site, you're trying to bring that into the virtual space in pre-construction. And so if you allow the schedule to slip to post-construction, you're going to start to lose that value. So there's a whole way of future-proofing, to your point, of bringing technology into the schedule, and how to protect and build a boundary around the pre-construction process while still protecting the construction process. I know your passion is augmented reality and virtual reality. We actively use virtual reality headsets in our company, and we see a huge future for that. We've heard use cases. For example, if I have a doctor who's about to work in a hospital, that's going to be built over the next 3 years, but he's sitting with the virtual reality headset thinking about, how am I going to perform surgery? How am I going to move this patient from the operating room back to his resting bed? If a doctor who's going to actively be living in that environment works through the construction process, Imagine the amount that he can save noticing that in a virtual environment versus after the hospital's built and asking for changes and improvements because gurneys don't fit in a hallway or they don't fit around a turn. So huge amount of opportunity for technology to come into construction. And that being a technologist at the core, that was a major attraction to me in this firm.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned AI because I think there's a fear around AI kind of taking people's jobs, but really it's about, again, to your point, efficiency, right? And kind of doing the tedious work on iteration where that human factor is still always going to be a necessary component. So I'd love for you to kind of talk about that because that we want to dispel those fears because I think we need to look at AI and machine learning as a tool and not a replacement.
I agree, Amy. And as technology evolves and as AI becomes more integral and integrated into construction and into technology, it will only elevate us into, as you mentioned, the people component or the relationship component. We'll be more artistic, we'll be more creative, we'll be more able to design with intention rather than design with limitation. So I really truly believe that there will be an opportunity for all of us. And even as process changes, there'll be even a better chance for us to partner with our subcontractors and an even better chance for us to partner with our general contractors to really build a true vision that we all want to build while allowing the technology to work with us rather than against us. Absolutely.
I think that's right. I think, and I come at this, I'm also a photographer. And, there was a shift because I'm old enough that, from film to digital. And I took a very, very long time to go to digital because I thought this isn't the same. This like my, it's not going to be my art. But actually, the digital combined then with Photoshop. And I taught myself Photoshop one tool at a time by myself. And I can tell you now that the creative freedom I have over my imagery, like I'm not sort of stressing about the technical aspect of the image I'm trying to create. I just shoot, and, fix it in post. No, but then I really get to layer on. So it's not the same as shooting on film. But for me, in a lot of ways, it's better. So I think it's about mindset and really looking at it, as a toolkit. And let's talk a little bit too, kind of expand on, really how you're that sort of centralized concept and how that's going to add value to contractors and general contractors moving forward.
Absolutely. And embedded into my DNA, core in my DNA is the aspect of being an early adopter. So I truly believe in bringing technology as early as possible into our processes. And we're doing that every single day today, and we plan on doing that in the future. And I also believe in early adopting processes and seeing trends and changes in the industry and working very closely with our partners. And it will create a more harmonious and more homogeneous relationship with our subcontractors. We respect our subcontractors and honor them so much, and the opportunity to congeal and bring everybody together in a way that brings efficiency and an alleviated schedule will only allow the system to operate more effectively and allow everybody to work better together.
And that's a theme for us for sure. Efficiency. And I think, technology does that for us.
It does. And did I mention that I'm an engineer? So
Exactly. Especially a network engineer, which is, right. Like I think you understand process a lot better than most.
So I love efficiency, and thank you for making that the central focusing.
I think that there's this, this opportunity to have, BIM be this kind of living, breathing digital overlay so that, through not only through the sort of design and construction phase, but then, beyond as sort of the smart building overlay that allows any contractor to come in if there's, maintenance or there's a retrofit, they can put on a pair of AR glasses and they can see the entire schematic of whatever it is they need to look at. And see it relative to, essentially a living, breathing as-built, which I think is a great opportunity. And then the other thing we talk about a lot in AR, VR is sort of a centralized 3D asset library so that, multiple departments can access designs and models and leverage them for their particular line of business. But you kind of have that same, idea, I was going to say construct, no pun intended, In the way you do your services, and you're really looking to kind of centralize the standards around BIM designs, because that is, as far as I understand, that's one of the challenges for contractors, that their subs are getting, their designs from, a number of different sources. And so there's just not this kind of centralized standard. So how are you kind of combating that?
Yeah, we've actually noticed the same, Amy. I'm glad that you're seeing that. You were speaking about our breadth of services earlier, and one of the services that we've expanded to recently is laser scanning. So we actually can go into those tenant improvement opportunities and scan to build those virtual as-builts, and then superimpose that into the model or into the virtual space. So we are looking at BIM Designs to create that end-to-end solution on how do we go from how do we own the entire pre-construction process, and how do we help our clients with that pre-construction process. I have noticed, and our general contractors are noticing as well, that when you bifurcate the BIM process in the pre-construction phase, and you bifurcate that across many different subcontractors, it does create some schedule inefficiencies, and it creates a lot of management that has to happen. So multiple contracts, multiple meetings, multiple alignment conversations that must happen across all of these subcontractors. So general contractors, we're starting to see a trend, are moving to, hey, what if we helped provide a coordinated BIM model to the subcontractor by the time the subcontractor started working on this project? In that case, the general contractor could work with the union journeyman and the union design agencies to build this coordinated model, and sort of reduce a lot of the confusion that might arise when you're trying to coordinate between the electrical subcontractor, between the mechanical subcontractor, and the fire protection subcontractor. So there's a lot of opportunity for efficiency. All of the entire story, the general contractor, the subcontractor, the design agency, we all bring so much to the table, and I really respect the general contractor, because they have to find that right model and that right method for how do they go from beginning to end the most efficient and the most productive way possible.
Yeah, and the complexities just get, bigger and sort of tenfold based on the size of the project and moving parts and, multiple contractors. So I think that makes perfect sense. And it's certainly a theme that we've heard with some of the guests as well. It's like, how do we build these efficiencies in to just to streamline the process. So I think you've made great strides, but I think there's still, especially as technology starts to hit the market, I think there's the real opportunity for all of that to happen. But one of the challenges with future tech, and I think AI you can kind of do at your level, but things like AR and VR are really, really reliant on the user, right? And their, reticence or not to put, a brick on their face or, even the wearables, the HoloLens and Magic Leap, those are both beautiful pieces of hardware, but they're kind of big. They're a little bit heavy. The next evolutions of both of those will be smaller. But how difficult is it to bring technology actually on site? And are you finding an acceptance for it, or does it sort of run the gamut? There's, like, my phone's fine, I'm just going to use my phone, or others are like, yeah, give me the latest and greatest. Like, where's that balance?
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing on the job site, there's a need for hardened technology. So it took a long time to shift to mobile and tablets away from hardened laptops, because I think they needed to trust that if that device fell, it wouldn't break, or it wouldn't break something else, or hurt somebody if it fell from a few stories. So there's a need for hardened technology. But I also see in the past year a massive trust that's being built for technology. And so we will start to see more and more technology in the job site. So I think there's a combination of making sure that it's safe, making sure that it's hardened, and making sure that it's providing the dedicated use case specifically to the construction industry. And I absolutely see that happening around us and with the partners that we work with.
Yeah, I need that for my phone too. I think I drop my phone about 60 times a day, and yet it's still... Well, it's working except for 5G. Now, we talked a little bit about 5G earlier on. One of our guests actually mentioned that one of the last things to go into a site is the connectivity and the network. And I know you have a deep network background, and that the irony is that you need it from day one. Are you seeing that change where they're like, okay, let's get some cell towers in here. Let's figure out a way to get connected. Or are people just, walking around this, empty, sort of mud bed saying, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now in a commercial?
That's funny. Yeah, I do. I look forward to 5G becoming what the potential it has and being deployed fully. Absolutely. Um, I do know that in especially new construction spots, you might not have good coverage, and yet you have the job site and the trailers, and you have the detailers, for example, working, and they need full connectivity, and they need a very good connection. So there's a lot of different solutions, and I'm pretty impressed with those different solutions that are coming that would provide a temporary internet to the job site. But I do agree with you. It's one of those fundamental wants, if you will. It's maybe not a need yet, but it's definitely a fundamental want to bring that as early as possible into the construction phase. And the sooner you bring the connectivity is the sooner that you can bring technology end to end. So I absolutely believe in that, and I see major strides. There's a number of different solutions that provide the temporary access above and beyond just ensuring that there's a cell tower there. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, and then, so as far as your clients, because you have a pretty broad, you work with a number of different types of clients, and I don't know how much you're allowed to actually share about specific projects, but it would be great if you have some examples of companies that you feel are really kind of leading the charge, leveraging technology and sort of, blazing that trail into this next evolution of how you design and build.
Absolutely, and I must say that we're built off of giants. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for our clients and our partners. Some examples of that are Will McManus and Doug Smith out of Dynamic Systems. We partnered with them to grow the team, and they've really been a great partner with us since then. We've also partnered with McDonnell Miller Facility Solutions in Seattle. We've Dan Holland and Brian Kite and Mark Krudel have worked very closely with us to integrate technology. They have a dedicated VR lab, so they're very forward thinking in that sense. We've worked, Air Systems is our largest client. Art Williams there is the president, is a great partner of ours. So we're just very, very fortunate to be built off of giants, and we really enjoy working with them, learning from them. Relationships are like a marriage. You really have to work at them, and we're very committed to working through and with all of our relationships and all of our clients.
All right, we're going to have to make some intros because I think we need some of them on the podcast. Hook a sister up here.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
And so, what are some of the trends you're seeing? If you look at this arsenal of technology, you mentioned AI and machine learning. We've talked a little bit about AR, VR. There's blockchain. There's just all of this emerging tech kind of coming down the pike. Where do you see some of the, what can we expect today, in the next couple of years? And then, 10 years down the road, what does it look like to build, and how are companies going to be using technology on a day-to-day basis, do you think?
We have tremendous examples around the world of how technology is used and how it can accelerate. I mean, we've heard of hospitals built in weeks at a time, right? Prefabrication is going to become a major component of construction over the coming few years. And prefabrication connects in very well with BIM. I mean, what we provide, what we produce are the school drawings and the shop drawings to send to the fabrication department and for the fab shop to build. I believe fabrication will grow at a tremendous scale, and not just in the individual parts and components, but in fully connected systems that will be, walls with the pipes already inside of them, with the electrical already run, and those walls being shipped and installed to the job site. We're absolutely going to see that over the next few years. Even further out would be automation of the design, intellectual review of the architect's drawings and the engineer's drawings, and a first draft model coming out of the artificial intelligence system for our journeyman detailers to look at and improve and optimize. I see that happening in the next 5 to 10 years, absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, I love the example you gave of the surgeon, because ergonomics passes are some of the things that end up happening last, and it's so critical that you bring that. We talk about end user when it's software, when it's really any product. but it's equally important in building, and actually paramount in building design. And I'm sure you have many stories. I've heard many stories of just, we get so far into the process, and then someone says, well, two people can't pass in that space if you've got, whatever it is, whether it's gurneys or, equipment or whatever happens, is going to have to live there. And so I think that's really a critical component, and that pre-visualization, I think, is going to be really interesting. And so, that sort of leads us in this future thinking to the question I ask everybody towards the end. And it's really, kind of projecting, you, Mark Oden, in the future, 20, 30, 40 years from now. And personally, what would be, sort of your dream piece of technology that if, you were Steve Jobs and you could just build it today, and it doesn't have to be for business, really just for you, what would it be and what would it do?
I love that question, Amy, and I've put a tremendous amount of thought into it. I really, when I try to escape for a little bit, I go camping and I just try to be under the stars for a little bit. And I imagine, what it would be like to be elsewhere in the universe, and what it would look like, how beautiful it could be to see different parts of the galaxy or different galaxies. So I would love a technology that allows me to virtually transport to a different planet or to a different galaxy and just see things from a completely different perspective. To start, maybe that's a fold-out LCD screen that I point a simple telescope to a location, and the LCD screen kind of visually shows me what is in that direction. So kind of is a powerful, more virtual telescope, and I've seen those things in being manufactured or being research and design, I should say. So I'm very excited about that in the short term. In the midterm, maybe I can have like a Minecraft on Mars, and I can put on my virtual reality headset and I can start to build on Mars. And then maybe in the long term, the concept of artificial intelligence and science can merge together and sort of forecast and predict based on what they know, like 1,000 light years away, what the conditions are in that space, what the gases are, what the light conditions are, etc. And it can sort of create, an artistic representation or a scientific representation of what that might be, and be able to experience that in full. I really would love that. And just as a side note, I also love in that concept reading different articles about quantum physics and seeing the evolution that's happening. This year, I really believe that there's going to be a tremendous amount of evolution with quantum physics. I'm seeing articles every day about how new discoveries are being found, and that's really going to affect quantum computing and completely accelerate how we operate and how we perform, and how machine learning and artificial intelligence grabs hold of every element of what we work on. So I'm super excited to be a part of this. I'm super excited to witness it. And yeah, thank you so much for asking that, Amy.
I think that's a great answer. And, if Elon Musk has anything to say about it, you'll just be able to, hop on a SpaceX flight and actually go there. You can see it up close and personal.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic vision. And, I loved all your insights today, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything with us.
Thank you for having me, Amy. I really appreciate everything that you do.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining today.